Today we are going to have lots of fun, and I'm going to demystify all of the... Okay, so I've color-coded things, and that's how I like to do outlines, because it makes it so easy to find things. I know what quotes I need to find from the internet, so I'm not just on there running around with nothing to do. I know what I'm looking for. I know I'm looking for something that agrees with me that the world of the story is the culture of that world, is the antagonist. And as chance would have it, we found that cool little YouTube video. Now, the first part has to be in my own words. Then I'm going to find a quote that agrees with me. So I need to add that right here, don't I? Let me add that this part's in my own words, and I have something that agrees with me. Hold on. Be right back. This literally tells me what to do. For this, I need to refer to that YouTube video. Whoops. Helps if I spell video right. Video Jungle. All right? That's the one that we just found, just because we got lucky. I love that. Okay. And now I have the second section completely ready to go. I'm going to find a definition of the tragic hero, and for this one, remember this is going to be a whole nother paragraph by itself. I'm going to say how I view a tragic hero. We're not going to actually quote from that list that we had where we got these from. We're going to quote from actual sources. So I'm going to say, put in my own words what I think a tragic hero is, and then I'm going to quote what a tragic hero is. Watch how I add this to my outline. Okay. Now you'll notice that in my introduction, I still haven't written the thesis statement. I'm not exactly sure what it's going to be. And I haven't written A and B for the introduction. Remember, the introduction is going to be a paragraph of approximately 6 to 8 sentences. So the very first sentence needs to introduce the film. Now, what am I going to say in this? I'm not going to say that this was an Academy Award winner, that Denzel Washington won Best Actor. That has no bearing on this essay. I'm going to start with the world of the story in Training Day allows the buddy characters of Alonzo and Jake to develop in ways they never thought would be possible. I'm going to do it something like that in my own words. B will be something about Alonzo specifically as a tragic hero. Right? So introduce the film. I'm just going to make a note here. I need to show that it's a buddy film. And remember, anytime I use the, of course I'm going to spell it right, but anytime I use the title, what do I need to do? Who knows what I need to do? That's right, I put it in italics. Yes. Right? Perfect. Okay, so now I know the structure for the introduction. I'm not going to do much more with it right now, but I have my definition of terms completely written. The summary of the film is going to be pretty much in my own words. And then the antagonist is the world of the story. I have got to do something that proves that my position is at least plausible. When writing these essays, somebody else is going to say, no, I see him as a heroic, hero. Somebody else might say, no, I see him as a Byronic hero. Somebody's going to disagree with me, but that doesn't matter. All I'm doing is presenting my argument in a way that makes sense. You can see where my own words are. You can see things that I've already found in green, so I just need to go to those. And you can see where I need to find a quote. I've got to fill in a blank right there, don't I? I need the quote that people say that Alonzo, I got to get a quote from one of those people. It's not hard to find. Most of them, are like that. Okay, so we want a quote there. Then I say the antagonist is culture in my own words, and then I refer to the YouTube video jungle by making sure that I credit that when I look at it. You'll be there when I do. Alonzo became a police officer, took an oath. I need to get that. Alonzo was successful in his job. I need to get that. He says that in one of the scenes when they're in the car, and he's telling Jake about his credits, how many people. I've got to get that actual quote from the script. And that's there. Now we have the definition of a tragic hero. This entire section is just defining our terms. So we have the definition of a tragic hero. What is a tragic hero? I put it in my own words. And then I have a quote from a reputable source who defines tragic hero. I also say this is a buddy film, and not everybody would agree with me. So in my own words, I see how this is a buddy film. One of the protagonists learns lessons and survives. Jake on the other... Jake, on the other hand, I don't want you to put the hand in there. Let me fix this. I'll be right back. Okay, so now I put in my own words how I see this as a buddy film. These are my own words. And the next thing I'm going to do is find a legitimate source that defines a buddy film. Super easy to do. Lots of people write about it. It's a very common format. Okay, then Alonzo survives and thrives in a dystopian world. He wants to teach Jake the ways of this world. That's building up to my argument that the world is actually the antagonist. And then I have a little quote of what a dystopian world is. I find that. Lots, easy, super easy to find. And within this dystopian world, Alonzo's character develops tragically. What does he do that is so tragic, you all? Where am I going to find that? You're right. I'm going to find that over here in the proposal. Easy to find the proposal because it has that title image. Okay, so let's see what were these three things that he does. And I'm not going to use all of the words. I'm just going to use enough for my definition. He simply cannot diminish the view of the self, and because of some personality flaw, the hero fails in his epic struggle against fate. Okay, so I'm going to use this part of it. And when I use it, you know what I do is I highlight it. And that way I know I've already used this and I can't use it again. Right? Makes it so wonderful when I write an essay, because I'll go back and I go, didn't I just use that? Oh my gosh, how many times have I said this? Well, when I highlight it, I know I've already used it. So the first thing that we have over here is that he won. This tab thing. Okay, what does he do? Number one. And we paste that. Not that. I'll be right back. Let me fix it. Okay? So this is, this one has something to do with his greed. You know, that was his tragic flaw, was greed. And perhaps you could say acceptance and power. All which resulted in greed. I don't know. We'll think about it when we get to it. Okay, so, but we know that, is it fate or free will, which is primarily responsible for the suffering in the hero's life, and in light of our own personal tragedies. Though fated, the hero makes choices which bring about his destruction. He makes choices about his destruction that lead to his destruction. Yellow means I've already looked at it and I've already used it. Copy. Go back over to the outline and paste. Beautiful. What do we need next? That's right. We need the third thing that he does. Okay? I'll see you in a second. I'm going back to the proposal. And what is the third thing that he does? Encompasses the fate of all humans from humans. As for the paupers, maybe we need a verb. What does he do? That the common person is capable of tragic stature, insofar as each one of us seeks a true identity and personal dignity. You look at it and I'm going to look at it. I'm going to use this one. Seeks true identity and personal dignity. That's what he is, really. He's really trying to prove that he's the man up in here. Remember the King Kong speech? When he says, King Kong ain't got nothing on me? That is this. That is trying to assert his personal dignity in this dystopian world. And if you don't know what a dystopian world is, we'll be getting to that when we find all of our pieces of information. Be right back. I'm going to add it. So now what are we ready to do? That's right. We're ready to prove each one of these three things. And in order to do that, we're going to need a transition sentence, which we're not going to write just yet. And that transition sentence is going to take us to the first of these three. Which one do you want to go first? Do you think the failure in his epic struggle against fate, or he makes choices which bring about his destruction? Whoops, I used that one twice. I'll fix it. Be right back. Okay, I'm going to use this one. Now, I may change my mind, because when we find the definition of a tragic hero from our source, we might find a better way. We might find a better qualification for this. So I'm going to put this here right now, and I'm going to add a question mark, because as I reach, what are we going to color code that? Oh, you know how I love to color code. Can't be pink. Okay. I'm questioning that one. So when I look for my definition of a tragic hero, then which I'm going to be using up here. I'll use part of it down here maybe. I'm not caring about this one. We really aren't talking that much about what the audience feels and witnesses. You know, we're just kind of proving that this guy is a tragic hero. So this one is a big question. Maybe we'll find something better. So, which one goes first? That's right. Fails in this epic struggle and fate. I go down here, I add it, I'm going to take it off of coloring, I'm going to change it to a 14 font, and it is blue in color so that we can find our sections. Right? Super easy when I build an outline to be able to find where in the world I am. Okay. Now, this section is going to contain a few paragraphs, and those paragraphs need to include what he does. Now, if we don't want this one to go first later on, we can always copy and paste everything we do here and change it and put it somewhere different in the essay. But the beautiful thing about an outline is that it's all written for me. You can see how easy this section and definition of terms is going to go. It's all written. We have one paragraph here. We have one paragraph here. Oops, I think it's going to be this because it's transition. Okay, that's transition. The next paragraph is going to have this YouTube referral. Okay, you see that? This is his intention. This is what people say an antagonist does. This is how Alonzo started as a hero and how he ended up. And now we have a defined tragic hero, and then we define a buddy film because we have to show them how these two are buddies and how one of them fails. Hold on just a second. I'll be right back. Now let's talk about a film script for a second. A film script is words on a piece of paper. Let's look at the script that we have for training day. This is the script of training day. It's words on a paper. Words on paper. And if I use something, I'm going to be able to highlight it and put it in yellow. To me, yellow is always the color that means I've already used this. Okay, so I get to go through here, and I'm going to find everything that I need to find to answer those questions that are left in our essay. These are words on a piece of paper. When does this become a film? That's right, when these words are taken from the page and adapted and translated by the actor. So, Jake says this on paper. When he says it on the film, it now has taken wings and it flies. And so when I describe the scene, I have to include what is he doing? What is he driving in? Where is he walking? What is he wearing? And then I add whatever part of the quote is necessary for my characters to come to life. Now, first, we have an interesting description that I just happened to go to. Detective Sergeant Alonzo Harris in black shirt, black leather jacket, and just enough platinum and diamonds to look like somebody. He reads the paper in a booth. The gun leather tough LAPD vet is a hands-on blue-collar cop who can kick your ass with a look. That's how the playwright described him. I don't know where exactly I'm going to use this, but it's going to be used somewhere. So if I have something sort of like in limbo, I'm going to use it. I'm going to use that pink. That lets me know I found something. I don't know where I'm going to use it, but it keeps me from going, now where did I see that? When did that happen? And I'm going to read the script later on, and everything I'm going to see, if I know that it's going to be used somewhere, I can color it yellow and put it somewhere. All right? Okay, so we need to go back over here to our outline. I just wanted to explain how that goes. Okay. First of all, this has some words that need to be defined, correct? Alonzo fails in this epic struggle against fate. So, the first thing that we need to do is, well, why did it go blue? I don't want that. It's going to confuse me. Okay, so A, Alonzo faces an epic struggle. Now, I need to define what I mean by epic, and I need to define what I mean by struggle, and what is going to be the point of what I say? That's right, he struggles because the world of the story is putting everything up against him. I'm going to add that in right here, and then what I'll do is I'll go over here to the script and I'll find where he talks about that. I watched the film last night, so I kind of have an idea, but I don't know exactly. I do know page numbers, though. Thank goodness I have a page number that I can use. Okay, so I'm going to have to go through and find the answer to this. So, for this, I know that I need to find a quote. Oops, sorry. Let me fix this. I'll be right back. So there are two things I need to do in this paragraph. I need to show that he was indeed in an epic struggle against fate. So right now, we have defined what is an epic struggle, and I need to quote the writer's intent. Or I don't know what, I need to get a definition of epic story, right? That's just, let me fix that. When we are addressing this part, this one thing that he does, remember, we don't have to prove that it's a dystopian world because we already did that in the definition of terms, right? And this is a costume model for what was desired for this character. What do I need now? I say the playwright made his intent clear in the following excerpt. It's not a description. It's an excerpt from the screenplay. as well as the costume model image on the right. What do I need to put right here? That's right. I need to put that description from the script. How in the world will I find that description? It's right there. All right, and what page is it on? It's on page 5. Okay, just going to take this. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to come back over to the outline. I'm going to put it right there. I'm going to take away that. I don't need that. I'm going to take it away. Okay. And that, we remember, is okay. That's all we can do and miss because the script did not note scene, although we have a scene number there. That can get tricky. I was looking at MLA, and MLA says that for this, we just can use a page number. But if it's a scene, I'm having you do this with me. You're not going to do the entire outline. I'm just going to show you this one section. Then I'm going to do the rest, and I'm going to come back and show you what I did. But for this, I just want you to see how I go from the script back to the outline, and I'm going to show you in a second. I don't see anything that indicates this is a scene. Fade in. Okay. We're not, it doesn't have anything here like scene 1. Okay, so we'll just say page 5. Back to the outline. Okay, so now in this section, I have taken the two words, the two sets, epic struggle, and we have to prove that it's epic, so we have a quote from a good source that defines an epic. Then in a sentence or two, we'll have to prove how that quote therefore shows that we are dealing with a dystopian society. And he is trying to survive, and he, what? Fails. So, first things first is to show this character existing within the world that we claim is the reason that he went bad. And I have it written right here in my own words. Alonzo was not assigned to a posh Beverly Hills residential area. He was assigned to a hostile, dog-eat-dog world where nobody really has his back. Right? And here, then I have the quote directly from the script. And I may not use all of it, right? I may not, he reads paper in a booth. I don't need that. All I'm looking at is what does he wear? Because that's all we have for a character. What they say, what they look like, and what is said about them. So let me just select part of this quote to use. I'll be right back. No, I'm going to have you watch me. Okay, I don't need, that one I need. He reads a newspaper, don't need that. Not right here. We're just talking about how he makes himself look. Hands-on blue-collar cop who can kick your ass with a look. That we need. Okay, that's it. That's what we need. Okay. All right, so that is proved there. That was A, proving what an epic struggle is. Now B is going to be a little bit longer, isn't it? Because in B, we're going to look at how he fails in that world. Okay, and that's going to be a balance of sentences in my own words and proving quotes from different sources. All right? Okay, I'll be right back. I'm going back up to that section that says I have to have a proving statement of what an epic story is. I don't know what these are. Some of these websites are just silly. I want to find something that is Wikipedia. Absolutely not ever. So just scroll by them. Okay, maybe Merriam-Webster. I'm going to look and find one that's reputable, and I'll show you when I get there. I'll be right back. You know, when it comes to definitions like that, my best friend is in the encyclopedia. And I always look for that because they're going to generally have something wonderful and great that I can use. Look at this quote, this definition of epic. This effort, combined with such other conditions as an adequate material culture and a sufficiently productive economy, tend to produce a society dominated by a powerful and warlike nobility, constantly occupied with martial activities, whose individual members seek above all everlasting fame for themselves and for their lineages. Oh my gosh, it's perfect! So what am I going to do first? That's right. I am going to cite it immediately. I'm going over to my little EasyBib, create a new citation. I know it's going to go in the right place because I've already opened the project. Paste it. And you know, EasyBib is always going to find the encyclopedia. It's never going to come up and say, sorry, we can't find it. Find it, find it, find it. Okay, okay, okay. It's even a recent definition. Beautiful. Beautiful. It's all done. And it shows up in our pretty list. Look how our list is growing. Isn't it pretty? Okay. Whoops. That one's a repetition. Ugh. All right. I'll be right back. I come back to that website. I'm going to copy this. And I'm going to go over to my outline. And I'm going to, where I had that I needed a quote, then I put it right in there. And I say Britannica. Because that's where it came from. Now later I may cut this down a little bit, but I swear, this warlike nobility, all I have to do now is write a statement that shows that this quote applies to what I am writing. I'm going to do that, and I'll be right back. This section is complete. Let me go over it with you. And so we'll start with the completion, and we'll go backwards to see how this was created. When we say he fails in this epic struggle against fate, we have to prove that he fails, and we have to prove that it's an epic struggle. Fate, I'm not going to worry about so much. I may come back and do that later, but for right now, we have to prove that it's an epic. Alonzo faces an epic struggle. Prove that. Number one, this epic effort combined with such other conditions is... Okay, so this is my definition from Britannica. So this defines epic. And now it's not enough just to do that, right? I have to show that this hero is epic within this epic struggle. So I write down this particular proof. In the creation of the story, writer David Ayer worked with director Antoine Fuqua and cinematographer Mauro Flore to create a hostile world where money and weapons changed hands from minute to minute. Alonzo's job was, I'm doing this in the past tense, it's hard, was to make a change for the better in this world. At the same time, Alonzo sought to rule or at least intimidate the world. There's the picture of the world. And I like this image that I just happened upon because it shows him in the world, and a picture says 1,000 words about his attitude and such. Okay. So, I have proved that he is epic. Now, in order to rule the world, Alonzo, who was not assigned to a posh Beverly Hills residential area, must fit in the world. He was assigned to a hostile dog-eat-dog world where, I'm saying world a million times. Hold on just a second. I gotta, I just changed it to culture, where nobody really had his back. To survive, he dressed the part so that he could find, oh, do you see what happens? How hard this is? Let me fix it. I'll be right back. So that he could command respect in the world. The playwright made his intent clear in the following excerpt, as well as the costume model image on the right. And this is Detective Sergeant Alonzo Harris. This is the quote that we used. And normally we say don't ever use all caps, but we're taking an excerpt from a script, and so I'll have to think about it when I do the final draft. If it is distracting to the reader, then we'll change it. Okay, we had that quote from the script where he actually defines him, and then we see the model, right? Okay, Alonzo's epic journey does not feature a stunning horse with armor. Instead, this epic hero drives a 1979 Chevy Monte Carlo. This is sort of, now we're moving into why did he fail in this, why did this epic hero fail? And I'm showing two reasons, because I have the rest of the essay to go. So I'm showing two reasons he failed. How does it happen at the end? The people shoot him in his car. And so he has a very sort of an egotistical car, if you will. He's got a, badass 79 Chevy Monte Carlo. And he included modifications, which was tricked out hydraulics and Dayton wheel tires. To his demise, which means his death, the car did not include bulletproof windows. The epic hero must have a trusty steed, a protective defense against his travel into the dangerous world of the story. Alonzo chose to wear his badge on his chain without the protection of an armored car. Wouldn't it have been a little bit different story if all of these windows were bulletproof? I'm just saying. His ego, it's like bigger than his protective desire. Now, Alonzo is ultimately killed. These are the 2 points why I'm saying he failed. Alonzo was ultimately killed in the world he sought to control, in part because he crossed over the line between cop on the take. Should I hyphenate that? So it's pretty clear for the reader. Cop on the take, and autocratic leader. His greed for more control and the awards for a job well done ultimately caused the depraved militia of Echo Park to become human and rebel against Alonzo and all that he stands for. And I need to put that description of the Echo Park militia becoming human. I'm just going to do it in an image. I'll be right back. I changed my mind. I've got plenty of pictures in this section, and I don't want this to be a whole section about pictures. So I'm going to do this right now so that I don't forget later on, and I'm going to change it to Times New Roman like everything else is, and 14. That's just going to help me. Okay, now I make the point. The very people Alonzo trained to fear and follow his every command have now turned their allegiance to Jake. Okay, point made. And my second reason that he failed is because he fails to heed the warnings of the other authority figures within the world. Now, you're going to ask yourself, how did I find this in the sea that is the script? I watched the movie last night, and so I remember this dialogue that takes place in that restaurant scene, and I was thinking, oh gosh, where is that in the script? And I remember I go to the cast list. I'll be right back. I'll show you that. There's the cast list, and I remember that the guy talking to him was one of the suits, if you will, in the restaurant. And that was Tom Berenger, and the character was Stan Gursky. I simply go to the script. I type in Stan, and I put in his name because otherwise it's going to show any word that has that. I go over to the script, and there it is. This is the cafeteria or the restaurant scene. This is where they're talking, and in a little bit, Stan warns Alonzo right here. I highlight that in yellow so that I know I've already used it, and that's where Stan says, "Heard you had an expensive weekend in Vegas. How'd you screw up so bad?" "How could I know? Vegas ain't my town. I'm not omniscient. Lou, you should hop a jet out of here." Okay? I don't need anything more than that. That's where he warns him, and that's where Alonzo ignores the warning. I don't need to copy and paste the entire scene to make my point, do I? All right, good. So there it is in the script. It's off center, but I'll fix it when I create the Word document. So now I've proved the 2 reasons that he failed. And then after I have this thing, this is all in my own words, because I can't have everything in the paper copied and pasted. And so in my own words, I summarize what I've just said to answer this first point. And that is that because of his pride and ego, Alonzo pays no attention and moves on with his plan to find and arrest the Sandman. His plan to ignore warnings about the Russians, who were very angry after a botched Las Vegas operation, and Alonzo's plan for the day that will further establish and reward him as the detective who took down the Sandman, ultimately lead to his demise when the Russians take their pound of flesh. And a picture says 1,000 words. Now, before we end this, because we've finished this section, and we only have 2 more sections to go. We've done all of the defining of terms. I'm going to show you how we're going to add some of the rest of this in other places. Let's go back for just a second before we wrap things up, just to humor me, just for a second. Let's go back over to the proposal. Now remember then the proposal, it asks me what actions Alonzo takes that cause him to fail. So, first thing he does, he fails when he ignores the warning signs of Stan. And he fails to defend himself with an armored vehicle. And then each other section will have 2, and we'll have that completed. Right? Fun? Now let's look at this first thing. We've only used the yellow part. We have this part left. Because the tragic hero simply cannot accept a diminished view of the self, and because of a personality flaw, let me copy that, color it yellow so I'll know I used it, and I'm going to go back over to the outline, and guess where I'm going to put that? The conclusion. See, by the time I have this written, the conclusion is finished. Okay, all I have to do is finish this thought. I don't know about you, but when I'm writing the essay, I put all the work in and everything, and I go, the conclusion. I don't want to write the conclusion. I've already said everything. What more can I say? Well, when I outline, I will already have the conclusion written. So, the point 1 that we had made is that epic failure, because of the tragic hero, simply cannot accept a diminished view of the self because of some personality flaw. Okay? In the case of Alonzo, the personality flaw that caused his epic demise was his need for power and his failure to protect himself within the antagonistic world. Boom! Done! So look, we have accomplished a great deal today. We're going to end this day, and we're going to be done. Tomorrow, it's going to be easier, because tomorrow we just have to do this section, and we just have to do this section. And so, for today, we're all through. We're just going to make sure, we're going to scroll through and make sure that there isn't anything that I'm going to forget. Okay, I've still got to get that quote. I've got to get these quotes, but I'm not going to get them right now. I'm going to go ahead and work on the sections, and then as I come along, if I find things that can fit in there in these other areas in the definition section, then I'll put them there. But you can see how much fun that is when you have your document and you're going to use a little bit of this and you're going to use a little bit of that, and then you end up with some leftover material, and you can copy that and paste it sometimes into the introduction, and sometimes it goes in the conclusion. It's awesome. Okay, so for tomorrow, we know where we are. We know what we're doing. We've completed section 1 of the reasons that he's a tragic hero, right? He's a tragic hero because he failed in his epic struggle. And he failed for many reasons, but the 2 reasons that I show, he failed when he ignores the warnings of Stan, and he failed because he did not provide for himself an armored vehicle. That's it for today. That ends it for today. You all have a good evening, and I will see you back here tomorrow.